What happens when both people in a marriage are hiding something massive from each other at the exact same time? Because that is not just drama. That is the kind of emotional collision that destroys everything it touches, especially when millions of people are watching it happen in real time. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, when it comes to reality television couples, there is usually one storyline at a time. One person messes up, the other reacts, the audience picks a side, and the show moves on. But what is happening with this particular couple right now is something much more dangerous, because both of them seem to be falling apart simultaneously, and neither one appears to have any idea how close the other is to the edge. On one side, there is a financial disaster that was hidden for far too long, not a small miscalculation or one bad investment. This is the kind of accumulated damage that happens when someone keeps doubling down on failing ideas because admitting failure would mean giving up the last piece of identity they still feel proud of. And in my opinion, that is the real tragedy underneath the numbers. This is not just about money being lost. It is about a person who built their entire self-image around being the provider, the planner, the one in charge, and then watching that image collapse while refusing to admit it out loud. Every excuse starts sounding thinner.
Every plan starts sounding more desperate. And eventually, the people around you stop asking questions because they already know the answer is not going to be honest. That kind of silence inside a family is not peace. It is pressure building towards something ugly. Now, on the other side, something completely different was happening at the same time. And that is what makes this situation so unusual. Because while one partner was sinking financially and trying to hide it, the other was emotionally drifting in a direction that nobody saw coming. Not drifting in the vague, poetic sense either. We are talking about actual, visible distance. Less presence at home, more time spent elsewhere. Social media shifting from we language to I language. Posts about growth, resilience, and self-discovery that sound inspiring on the surface, but carry a very different meaning when you know what is happening behind the scenes. And honestly, that is the part that fascinates me most, because the audience saw both sides before either partner seemed to fully understand what the other was doing. Viewers were catching financial red flags in one scene and emotional withdrawal signs in the next. And the two storylines were running parallel without ever openly colliding on screen. That is reality television at its most uncomfortable. Not because the show manufactured drama, but because real damage was happening in real time and nobody could stop it. Now, let me rewind for a second, because I think the family dynamic here is just as important as the couple itself. When your entire extended family is also part of the show,
every argument becomes public property. Every awkward dinner becomes a scene. Every offer of help from a parent or sibling becomes either a lifeline or a humiliation, depending on how much pride is sitting at the table. And in this case, there was a lot of pride. Too much, probably. Because when financial help was offered multiple times and rejected every single time, that pattern stops looking like independence and starts looking like denial. And the people watching it from across the table, the parents, the siblings, the in-laws, they all started pulling back too. Not out of cruelty, but out of exhaustion. There's only so many times you can watch someone refuse a life jacket before you stop swimming out to save them. Now, here is the what if that I think makes this whole situation even more layered. What if neither person in this marriage was actually the villain? What if both of them were just responding to fear in completely different ways? One responded by trying to control more plans, more pitches, more business ideas, more insistence that things would work out if everyone just trusted the vision. The other responded by creating distance, less confrontation, less presence, less emotional availability, and eventually less loyalty to the partnership itself. Neither response is healthy, but both are very human. And I think that is why audiences are so divided right now, because depending on which fear you relate to more, you end up sympathizing with a completely different person.
Now let's talk about what this means going forward, because I genuinely think the fallout from this is not even close to finished. When financial ruin and emotional betrayal happen separately, a relationship might survive one or the other. People rebuild after money problems all the time. People recover from trust violations if the foundation is strong enough. But when both happen simultaneously and when both have been hidden from each other for an extended period, the damage compounds in a way that is almost impossible to repair quietly. That is why I think the next chapter of this story is going to be much more raw than anything the show has aired before, because now there are no more filters to hide behind. The financial situation is public, the emotional distance is visible, the family is fractured, and whatever version of fine was being sold to the audience for years has officially expired. In my opinion, the most telling detail in all of this is not the big dramatic moments. It is the small ones. The forced laughter at a dinner table, the way someone checks their phone instead of making eye contact during a conversation, the way social media captions slowly shift from celebrating togetherness to celebrating personal strength. Those micro signals are always louder than the actual confrontations because they tell you where someone's heart already is before they are ready to say it out loud. And right now, both hearts in this marriage seem to be in very different rooms. Now let me lock in a prediction here. I do not think this story ends with a clean reconciliation.
I also do not think it ends with one dramatic explosion. I think it ends the way most real relationship collapses actually end. Slowly, painfully, with both people looking back and realizing the cracks started much earlier than either of them wanted to admit. The financial mess will take years to resolve. The trust damage will take even longer. And the audience, as always, will be left debating who was more wrong while both people quietly try to figure out who they are without the performance of being a couple. Before I wrap up, here is the fast-fire version of why this situation matters beyond just entertainment value. Financial secrecy and emotional withdrawal were happening at the same time. The family dynamics made private problems impossible to hide. Pride prevented help from being accepted when it could have made a difference. Social media became a parallel confession booth for feelings neither person would say directly. And the biggest lesson here might be the simplest one. When two people stop being honest with each other, the truth does not disappear. It just waits until the worst possible moment to show up. But anyway, that is my breakdown of why this couple's double implosion may be one of the most real and most uncomfortable things reality television has shown us in a long time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think financial betrayal or emotional betrayal causes more permanent damage in a marriage? And is there any version of this story where both people come out okay? I will catch you in the next one.